Kemi Badenoch's dismissive um, attitude to others, which has come out via her key aide that the Conservative Party has done the mea culpas and needs no further apology for the chaos left over the last 14 years. It's not just arrogant, it's dangerously out of touch with the scale of damage that her own words, her own policies and attitudes have inflicted on Britain and on her party. Let's start with the leaked audio itself. Baroness McLean, Badenoch's close ally, told the Conservative Women's Organisation that the party has finished apologising and must now look to the future. This is a staggering dismissal of a collapsed economy under Liz Truss, the mortgage bills that have soared, the 14 years of stagnating wages, the battered NHS and social care system left behind. And many Conservative MPs admit that it will take years for the public to even consider forgiving them. Yet Badenoch's camp would shut down all contrition and pretend that they can just move on. We've done the apologies, she says in the tape. She didn't stand apart from this record. She was at the heart of it. She served as Equalities Minister, Trade Secretary and Business Secretary in these very administrations. Not once has she offered any real apology for the humiliating collapse of the Truss budget, the party's internal warfare, the policies that alienated voters across generations. When she apologised to City AM for not being the party of business, it was perfunctory, evasive, and contradicted by her refusal to own any personal responsibility for these failures. And her dismissive attitude is not something new. It's a hallmark of her political style and evidence of her arrogance and contempt for other people. The leaking of Nadine White's email, for example, going back to 2021, when the Equalities Minister, when she was Equalities Minister, she attacked a journalist, Nadine White, by posting her email and accusing her of, quote, creeping, knowing full well this would unleash an online pile-on. The lack of empathy as she targeted a black journalist for just doing her job. And she ignored professional norms, she prioritised petty point scoring over basic decency, and she refused to apologise. In 2020, she claimed teaching white privilege was unlawful and denied systemic racism in Britain. Again, the lack of humility, her refusal to engage with evidence or the lived experience of minorities, and her leadership efforts, her failure as she alienated communities that she was meant to represent, signalling ideological rigidity over honest listening. She described corporate diversity initiatives as pernicious without offering any constructive alternative. Again, the lack of empathy, ignoring the reasons these programs existed, and her inflexibility that alienates potential private sector allies. She mocks the language of trans activists, dismissing their concerns as bathroom bills. Again, the lack of empathy, failing to recognize vulnerability and fear among trans people. She chooses division over pragmatic resolution. She reportedly referred to net zero goals as green crap. Again, the lack of humility, scoffing at an existential crisis facing future generations, and her leadership failure undermining unity on one of the most important issues of our time. Her Brexit rhetoric about Remoaners regularly belittling pro-European Britons rather than seeking reconciliation. Again, her lack of humility, no attempt at national healing, and her leadership failure entrenching division. She called Indian negotiating demands mad during the UK-India trade negotiations, damaging a crucial relationship. Again, her lack of empathy, her insensitive, dismissive approach of another nation's perspective, her leadership failure, the arrogance that hurts UK economic interests, her patronising tone towards critics, routinely dismissing anyone raising social justice concerns as woke, her lack of humility, her flat refusal to engage in good faith debate, her leadership failure, sowing cultural division rather than building bridges. She builds her brand as anti-woke warrior, weaponizing culture wars for personal gain, prioritizing personal popularity in certain circles over social cohesion, demonstrating once again the lack of empathy, ignoring real anxieties felt by marginalized groups, and her leadership failure pitting citizen against citizen for political benefit. Now, she may have learnt from mentors like Nigel Farage, Robert Jenrick, but she's learning from people who are scouring the sewers of political life for some sort of excrement that defines their existential existence, their efforts. And this isn't what the leader of a political party in a modern democracy should be like. This is the political character behind the declaration that the Conservatives have apologised enough. It's a worldview that refuses to listen. It revels in provocation. It rejects responsibility. Badenoch has become a champion not of humility and learning, but of stubborn arrogance, precisely the attitude that contributed to the collapse of Conservative credibility. Under Badenoch, the Conservatives cannot climb back. They cannot. They will continue to collapse. The Conservative Party needs to have a rethink and needs to move back towards the centre. When it does that, there will be a credible opposition. The lack of an opposition fuels chaos in the present government. And we need to put national unity ahead of the personal ambitions of people like Badenoch. I was going to say twits like Badenoch, but it's not necessary to say that. I think I've given enough evidence to demonstrate quite clearly why Badenoch is bad. Britain needs to face serious challenges, rebuilding the economy, healing social division, confronting climate change, restoring trust in government, building back broken communities. All of this requires empathy. All of this requires humility, the willingness to admit error, to learn from it, to build a shared vision. Badenoch's record and her aide's contemptuous dismissal of apology shows that she, and those close to her, lack these essential qualities. If the Conservatives wish to be taken seriously as the party of government again, they will need to do much more than claim they've apologised enough. They need to truly reckon with the damage that they have done, and that includes the damage done by Kemi Badenoch herself.